Good evening, everyone. It is now 6:30, and so we'll go ahead and call to order the City Council meeting and public hearing of June 1st, 2026 for the city of Alpharetta. I do want to announce before we get into the meeting, just a couple of changes for those of you that may have shown up for an item that had been withdrawn or deferred. So if you're looking at the printed agenda, two items have been changed, deferred, or withdrawn. Ordinance amendments for Chapter 20, Fire Prevention and Protection. That will not be heard this evening. And MP-26-02, Lakeview Park, Master Plan, Trayton Homes. That will not be heard this evening either. So if you're here for those items, you might have just saved yourself a couple of hours. I do note for the record that all members of council are present and accounted for this evening. And as always, we begin our city council meetings with a pledge of allegiance. So if you're willing and able, please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the first item up on our agenda this evening is the consent agenda. Consent agenda consists of the city council meeting minutes from the meeting of May 18th, 2026, resolution for 2025 Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant Program Award, the agreement for the assignment, assumption, and release agreement regarding the Alpharetta Conference Center and the hotel at Avalon, as well as an estoppel certificate, consent to assignment, agreement of ground lessor, consent to assignment, agreement for the Alpharetta Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Services, Volunteer and Education Supervisory Services for the fiscal year 2027, and resolution for the reappointment of Code Enforcement Board members, consideration of approval for the resolution to reappoint Fred Smith and Wayne Rand to the Code Enforcement Board, and an agreement with Fulton County Land Division indemnification, maintenance, and land use agreement for private improvement at Farmhouse Heritage Park. Is there anyone on council that would like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, do we have any public comment cards on the consent agenda, Ms. Orhusky?
No, sir, we do not.
However, if anyone wants to come forward and speak about the consent agenda, now is your chance to do so. Don't see anyone come forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Reeves, a second by Councilman Dorito. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor, please vote yes. Councilman Dorito, and it's unanimous. So we'll move right along to the next item, which is the boards and commissions. First being the appointment of Design Review Board member by Councilman Brady.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to appoint to the Design Review Board Jennifer Sprayberry. She's here tonight, and look forward to having her serve the city again.
Excellent, thank you. And since all of those appointments have been made at this point, if those of you who are prepared to be sworn in, please meet me down front. I'm looking for the swearing-in statement. There it is. For those of you who may not know, the City of Alpharetta has 550-plus employees that work for the city to make this a great place for people to work, play, and live. But there's also hundreds of volunteers that serve on many different roles on commissions and boards in the City of Alpharetta. And so we're grateful for the service of our volunteers. We're going to be swearing in 3 today. So I assume you've got one of these copies. Pardon? Okay. So you just fill in the blank. And you put it on the top, okay? Repeat after me. So this is the oath of office of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia. I state your name, hereby accept the honor of serving as a board member of in the City of Alpharetta, Georgia. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I am not the holder of any unaccountable public money due to this state or any political subdivision or authority thereof. Repeat that over to you. I am qualified to hold said office according to the Constitution and laws of Georgia. And I shall support the Constitution and laws of the State of Georgia and the Constitution and laws of the United States of America. Further, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I shall faithfully perform the duties of a commissioner, regularly attend meetings, uphold the ideals of community and service, act and conduct business in accordance with the city's code of ethics and conduct, and support the charter and laws of the City of Alpharetta. So sworn this first day of June 2026. Appreciate your service to the City of Alpharetta. So the next portion of tonight's meeting will be the public hearing. Ms. S. Wine, if you don't mind, please stating the public hearing procedures this evening.
An individual requesting to be heard on a matter related to the purpose of the hearing must be recognized by the mayor before addressing the city council. A Upon rising to speak, the speaker must identify himself or herself and furnish a home or business address before proceeding with any comments or remarks. The council will allow the proponents a total of 10 minutes to speak in support of an application. Opponents will be allowed 10 minutes to speak in opposition. Comments are accepted first from the applicant, followed by persons speaking in favor, and then from those in opposition. Upon conclusion of any opposing comments or presentations, the mayor will allow the applicant to offer rebuttal if any time is remaining in the originally allotted 10 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Eswine. So, Mr. Whitman, I believe you have the floor on this item. This item is the Nightmare Cirque North Point Mall Master Plan, PH-26-11.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The first item before you is a request to allow a temporary use for a circus. The applicant proposes utilizing the surface parking lot between the JCPenney's and former Sears box at North Point Mall for Nightmare Cirque. And I have the location map on the overhead. This property is located at 1000 North Point Circle. The North Point Mall property and surrounding area is zoned PSC, Plant Shopping Center, and MU mixed use. There are no residential uses in the immediate vicinity. Unified Development Code subsection 2.3.2J allows a carnival, circus, or fair on a property zoned or used for non-residential use, subject to city council approval. So that's why this item is before you this evening. The code requires that the site shall meet adequate parking, safety, access, noise, and security concerns and limiting impacts to surrounding properties. Nightmare Cirque is described in the application as an all-human show with performers wearing Halloween-style costumes and skilled in acrobats, clown art, juggling, dancing, and daredevil feats. According to the website, the show is age-restricted up to 17 and up. And Nightmare Cirque provides its own concessions. The offerings are similar to a movie theater, and there are no alcoholic beverages at the circus. This is the site plan that was provided by the applicant. This is the former Sears box here, JCPenney's here. So they're in that parking lot between those two department store, and then parking would be in the surrounding mall area. The applicant is proposing this particular circus take place between June 19th of this year through June 29th. Setup beginning on June 16th, breakdown concluding on June 30th. Showtimes would be, there'll be one showtime at 7:30 p.m. on Monday, Thursdays, and Fridays. There'll be two showtimes at 5:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. The circus tent has a maximum capacity of 600 seats. Circus staff will serve as security personnel, which would be in addition to two police officers at each showtime, so the applicant has agreed to provide that service. Applicant did provide with the application a safety plan to protect the safety of the audience. And we did consult the city's public safety folks who suggested or recommended that at least two police officers be at every event, public event with 500 people or more. Staff has reviewed the application and supports the applicant's request for a temporary circus. There's adequate parking available at the mall property to support the needs of the mall as well as the circus. Circus is appropriately located in a commercial area, minimizing impacts to surrounding properties, and the state fire marshal will be responsible for all safety inspections of the tent. Recommend, as if approved, we do recommend at least two police officers be present at each show, and the applicant has agreed to that. The applicant provided a citizen participation plan indicating that they'd received no public comments, and they received no public comments at the May 13th Community Zoning Information Meeting. Staff is recommending approval of the applicant's request up to the 4 conditions in the staff report in your packets, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Whitman? Councilwoman Reeves?
Mr. Woodman, have we ever had, I know we've had circuses in the parking lot before. Have we ever had adult entertainment circuses before that were not intended for children at all?
We had one before the code required city council approval of a circus. We did have one, I don't remember, I don't know that it ever went forward, but there was one where there were questions about the audience that it was geared towards. I don't remember, I can't recall if that circus ever occurred. I feel like it did never, I don't think that it ever went through. I think they withdrew the request. But again, that was before city council was required approval of the circuses.
And this is adults only, no children under 17, correct?
So we did prepare a staff report, and at the time that we received the application, I did not find a website that had anything that indicated that it would be age restricted. The only thing that I found was a YouTube video of it and basically showed acrobats in Halloween costumes. And so when the staff report was getting ready to be published into the packet, we went back and looked at did a search of the websites and found a website that came up that did say, rated R for folks 17 and up. So we did not find that until after the staff report had been completed.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Woodman? Thanks, sir. Would the applicant like to come forward at this time?
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Hester Marquez. I'm manager of Delman Circus. And on my current address is at Houston, but right now I'm on tour with Nightmare Cirque and Delman Circus here at Canton, Georgia.
I'm Mario Morales. I'm the general manager at North Point Mall.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
At this point, we're looking for any questions you may have that we'd be glad to address.
That's fine. Just wanted to give you an opportunity to speak if you wanted to. Councilman Hypes?
Good evening.
Good.
So I plugged in Nightmare Cirque into a search engine, and I got the AI response. And we all know sometimes accurate, sometimes not. Under key criticisms and tips, it says age limits. It is strictly 13 plus or 18 plus, depending on the tour stop, as the show features suggestive themes, partial nudity, and profanity. And my question is there nudity of any type? Is there partial nudity in the show?
Okay, yeah, in the show there's no nudity. Well, the girl doesn't appear like with a lot of clothes like in a normal circus, but they cover all the parts and everything, but there's no nudity in the show. Everything's, yeah.
If I may, a little bit of context. I noticed the same thing on the website that had an R rating on it with that. The AI information isn't quite accurate, but the R rating you saw, if you saw it on the website, we negotiated at the onset that there would be no R-rated entertainment there. It would strictly be 13 and up accompanied by an adult, like a PG movie rating. They've adhered to that. I'm going to preview the show, but that R rating was left by accident on the website. Everything else is family-friendly, or 13 and up friendly is probably the best way to put it, and that's what's recommended. 13 and up accompanied by an adult 13 to 17, and after 17, of course, they're able to get into the show.
Thank you.
We'll start down on that end with Councilman Brady and work this way.
Yeah, I also pulled up the internet, right, because it's a great way to get information. You guys were just recently in Canton? Is that right? Delmar Circus? Is it Delmar Circus? Were you guys just at the mill in Canton? Or have you been to Canton?
have we been, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
To Canton, Georgia? Have you guys?
Yes.
You guys were at the mill
Circus?
in Canton, Georgia?
Yeah, we're in Canton, Georgia. Delman Circus.
Okay. And,
Yeah, we have to show Delman Circus and Nightmare Circus.
yeah, that's what I was trying
Yeah.
to, the difference between both of them. And both of those seem like kind of more like a Cirque du Soleil kind of style, kind of acrobatics and those kind of things. Is that right?
Yeah, Delman Circus is more family friendly. Delman Circus is for all the kids and all the family. And Nightmare Circus, it's a show more or horror theme. We have the same juggling, clowns, and all the characters scaring the people and everything. But it's more for adults and teenagers because Delman Circus is for the kids. We have a lot of characters for the kids, for all the family. And Nightmare Circus is more for the teenagers, for the adults, because it's another public, and they don't like to see Blue and Bingo at the at the
So is
other
there-
show. So
Is there some other locations? I'm trying to get an idea of the Nightmare, how long you guys have been doing this, and other locations that you've had success with.
oh yeah, we've been a time with Delman Circus and another time with Nightmare Circus. Last year we started Nightmare Circus, and we've been like in more than 5 different locations with Nightmare Circus. We have good reviews with Nightmare Circus. Yeah, when we make the agree and everything, yeah, we said that we're going to I don't know how to say, to take away all the parts of the R rating because it wasn't a webpage, but yeah, it was a mistake to let them in the webpage because of our advertising on the Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It doesn't say R rating. It was just a mistake that in the webpage.
And I'm sorry, I just want to be good. You just started it last year, the Nightmare?
Yeah.
part of it? Okay, so.
Yeah,
that
Nightmare
went out.
Circus last year, and like in a little bit before Halloween, we started Nightmare Circus.
Okay. And then from the mall side, I guess, knowing something just started last year and you guys want to have it and attract it, I mean, obviously,
this is-
what
this
did you
is,
seek?
This is the same company we've done business with in the past. We rely on them. They live up to their word. They've had a good draw, and this is just, frankly, as I take it, it's acrobats in Halloween costumes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Dorito?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess the straightforward question that everyone seems to be kind of referencing is, explain why it is NC-17, basically. Because you mentioned 13-year-olds, but in the staff report and in the request for the circus, it talks about 17 and up. So is it 17 and up, or is it 13 and up?
It's 13 and up, the deal we cut, 13 and up accompanied by an adult.
Accompanied by an adult. So what makes it, is it because it's scary? I mean, is it foul language? I mean, just tell us what this circus is all
It's
about.
a haunted house that's probably, it's like going into a haunted house. I don't think I would take a 10-year-old into most of the haunted houses that
Okay.
show up here at Halloween time. I know it's a little offbeat for being summer, but we've done the Delman Circus, and they will be returning as well, the family circus, but that's literally why it's 13 and up, accompanied by an adult, 13 to 17.
I just wanted you to clarify that, because
No, I'm
everyone's
glad you
dancing
asked
around
the
this, nudity and
question. No,
Oh, no, we don't have
nudity and
nudity.
all that
No.
stuff, and none of that's happening in this
No,
circus,
sir.
correct? All right, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Mario, you have a movie theater over at the mall, right?
yes,
Do you show rated R movies?
that is entirely up to them, but yes, there are.
Do we do PG-13 movies?
Yes.
All right. Just asking.
Any other questions from council? Councilwoman Reeves?
Will the advertising post the age
Yes,
in all the advertising? And then will be
In
a
all of
sign
the-
on the outside?
yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do we have any public comment cards in favor of this item?
No, we do not.
However, if anyone would like to speak in favor of this item, now's your chance to do so. I do not see anyone coming
I
forward.
think we have a hand.
Well, they're in opposition. So,
Well, since I don't have anyone coming in favor, Do we have any public comment cards in opposition?
Yes. Marlene Seiden, sorry. If you would come up, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, council members. Hi, my name's Marlene Seiden, and I live at 125 McBride Court in Roswell. And I appreciate having this opportunity to speak tonight. When we think of the North Point Mall in any of our communities, we are focusing on, hopefully, building family-friendly environments and things that inspire values that we hope to see in our community. As I've done my research, the things that I see that concern me about this circus, and I think we have to be very careful about the word circus, because when we think of that in our history, circus has a different meaning. But this one I see uses demonic and satanic themes with their performances, and that they also incorporate simulated torture and violence. And if this is the case, this is not what we want in our communities and in our areas. And I would just like to have that on the record. I appreciate the opportunity to protect our communities, to focus on values and safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak in opposition?
We have another public comment card. Melissa Thompson, if you would come up and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Thank you all. My name's Melissa Thompson, 2080 Bethany Spring Trace, Cumming, Georgia. And similar points as Marlene has spoke also is, entertainment centered on horror, fear, darkness, and shock value is really not the type of attraction that our community in Alpharetta is known for, nor do we want to make that what it's known for or the type of people to bring to our community as a whole. It's not an issue whether or not people have the right to attend such a show, but whether is this what we want as part of our community. We benefit from bringing people together with positive experiences and not disturbing or fear-based themes. And that residents are looking for places to foster a sense of comfort, belonging, well-being, and I think that this fear-based and shock and horror theme is just not something that enhances our community or the people who come here or those that will see that type of entertainment. So that's it. Thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak in opposition? I don't see anyone coming forward, so I'll close public comment.
Mayor, just as a reminder, if the applicant has any time, well, the applicant does have time for rebuttal if they would like to address any of the comments.
Does the applicant have anything else to add to the presentation?
Yeah, I just want to add that we already made the advertising and everything about that we're going to be like in the mall, in North Point Mall. And we have a good response about that because we already sell like 313 tickets for the show. I know that if it doesn't like this, we have to tell other people that we're not going to have the show there. But I think we have a good response for the people in North Point Mall. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. So if we have no other presentation, close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Passion. This evening to approve PH-26-11 Nightmare Circus, North Point Mall, as presented this evening by Michael Woodman.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem. Do we have a second? Second. That was Councilman Hopes, I believe. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilwoman Reeves.
I just want to make sure that the show actually is for 13 and older, accompanied with an adult that doesn't have a bunch of profanity. I got to tell you, I love scary stuff. I'm like a big fan. Like, we're scary stuff, like goofball. We really like all the scary movies. And I haven't seen the show, so I don't know, and I haven't seen the advertisement. But, you know, staff is saying that, you know, they believe you. The mall owner's saying they believe you. I hope it's a good show, and I hope we don't get complaints. Everybody's got a right to go with something they want to go to, but I think that the concern is that will the show cross any lines? I'm hoping it doesn't.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So the next item will be CU-26-03/V-26-04, 7 Brew Coffee /11378 State Bridge Road. Mr. Woodman, once again, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next request before you is request for conditional use and variance to allow 7 Brew Coffee to operate a restaurant with drive-through window on a 0.70 acre site, including a 510 square foot building and 2 drive-through lanes. Conditional use is requested to allow restaurant with drive-through window for 7 Brew Coffee. Variance is requested to reduce the front setback. Have the location map on the overhead. This property is located at 11378 State Bridge Road, near the northeast corner of Kimball Bridge Road and State Bridge Road. This property is zone C1, neighborhood commercial. It's developed with a 1-story, 3,500 square foot medical office building. It's previously used by the Georgia Clinic. This is an aerial of that site. This is the site here. And this is a street view of the property. This is the former Georgia Clinic that was developed on the property. There is a large billboard on the property as well. 7 Brew Coffee has, actually before I get to that, I did want to mention as it relates to the use that they're asking for, restaurant with drive-through window is a permitted use in the C2 General Commercial and LI Light Industrial zoning districts. And it's a conditional use in the CUP, Community Unit Plan, O&I, Office Institutional, C1, Neighborhood Commercial, and PSC, Planned Shopping Center zoning districts. The future land use designation of the property is commercial, which does support the applicant's request. 7 Brew Coffee has 500 locations across 38 states. There are 2 nearby locations, one in Johns Creek and one in the city of Milton. And there are 5 locations in the additional locations in the Atlanta metro area. The applicant is Piedmont Beverage Company. They currently operate 3 7 Brew locations in Greer and Greenville, South Carolina, and they are actively expanding in Southeast. The business model for 7 Brew is a coffee drive-through only concept with no interior dining space. They focused on a quick service through the drive-through, so they do have a lot of their employees staff the drive-through facilities. Customers are able to walk up to place an order. However, the applicant does not anticipate that being a significant part of the business at this location. 7 Brew offers a wide variety of handcrafted beverages, including coffee, teas, energy drinks, smoothies, lemonades, and shakes. Their hours of operation are Sunday through Thursday, 5:30 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 5:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. The applicant anticipates approximately 8 employees working in a shift. So the site plan, and I don't want to confuse this, but we have 2 site plans that are being considered. So The staff report is the staff report, the recommendation from the Planning Commission. This is the site plan that the Planning Commission reviewed. At the Planning Commission meeting, there were some concerns from an adjacent property with concerns that the exit to the drive-through was too close to State Bridge Road. So again, this is the site plan that Planning Commission reviewed. It had the building pulled up to State Bridge. And staff actually encouraged this condition because we wanted to buffer the drive-through facilities with the building. So we wanted the building pulled up to the street with the parking and the drive-through behind. But based on the feedback from the Planning Commission as well as feedback during public comment from adjacent properties, with concern about the exit to this drive-through being so close to State Bridge, the applicant did make changes to the site plan to try to resolve that concern. And so that's what you see here. What they've done is they moved the building that was parallel to State Bridge Road, and they moved it here along the shared driveway between them and the gas station. And then the drive-through facilities are somewhat in the same location. It's just that the end of the drive-through facilities are further away from State Bridge Road, which makes the exit further away from State Bridge Road. The concern before, just going back to the previous site plan here, is that cars would try to exit and maybe turn left to go out to State Bridge Road. And if a car were to turn out here and there are already cars stacking up trying to turn on to State Bridge Road, that this car may block access to cars that are trying to pull in to access the gas station or other properties. So again, the applicant did present this revised site plan. We do believe that this site plan functions appropriately as we did the previous site plan. We did review the previous site plan, and we did think that the drive-through facilities did function adequately. But this site plan does provide more vehicle stacking spaces in the drive-through. And then, of course, it moves the entrance and exit to the property further north away from State Bridge Road. There is 2 buildings. The original submittal to the city had the 510 square foot building and then a cooler building. We asked the applicant to combine the 2 into one building so it looked like one building, and they did that. As I mentioned, there's 2 drive-through lanes here on this site plan. There are 10 total parking spaces. The code only requires 6, so they do exceed minimum parking requirements. There are a total of 16 stacking spaces within this drive-through. They do have a 35-foot setback is still depicted with a 20-foot landscape strip. So there's sufficient area to landscape and help screen the drive-through from State Bridge Road. And then our traffic engineer went out to the location in Johns Creek, just wanted to observe their drive-through facilities during the morning peak hour. So we did send George Doyle out to that location. He observed the AM peak hour at the Johns Creek location. That location had a total of 14 car stacking lengths in the 2 drive-through lanes, which is 2 less than what is proposed in the site plan here. Based on the observations during the AM peak hour, the total amount of cars that queued were 8 cars at any one time. The average vehicular queue did not exceed 5 cars at any given time. George also observed the drive-through services. They manned that location with a total of 6 employees. There were 2 cashiers, 3 baristas, and there was 1 floater that came outside to help with drive-through services when there were 3 or more vehicles in the drive-through lane. So they do have an emphasis on getting you through that drive-through as quickly as possible. And then finally, staff observed that no more than 4 of the 14 on-site parking spaces were used at any one time. So this was the original building elevation that was submitted to the city. This is kind of the corporate brand for 7 Brew Coffee. We asked the applicant to relook at that, their proposed building at this location, to propose a building that is more in line with the more traditional look that we have in the city of Alpharetta. So they did pull back their rendering, and this is just a nighttime rendering to show that they had like blue neon on this particular design. They have removed any, there would be no neon proposed, and this is the new building. This building has a brick exterior with board and batten accents. This is the brick here with the board and batten, and then their siding accent here. So we do feel that they've made good progress on the look of the building. We did have some public comment too about the previous building, the first one that I showed you, being a little bit too bold in the colors. Come back to the site plan. So of course, we reviewed this proposal against the review criteria for conditional use and variance. The property is located along a commercial corridor with nearby properties similarly developed with restaurants with drive-through. Chick-fil-A is directly across the street, as well as Wendy's. The property has access directly from State Bridge Road, as well as through interparcel access. They have access to State Bridge Way and Kimball Bridge Road, so we do believe that the site has good access. And as I mentioned, staff did analyze the drive-through and observed the location in Johns Creek and believes that the drive-through facility proposed on the site plan does provide sufficient stacking. As it relates to the variance, the property has exceptional and peculiar conditions due to its shape and the access. The reduced front setback would allow the building to be pulled closer up to the street, helping to obscure the drive-through lanes. And we know that they slightly changed the orientation, but the building is still pulled up to the street and would still help with the screening of the drive-through lanes. And then, of course, landscaping. The required landscape strip plantings will be along State Bridge Road, as well as the shrubs to obscure the view of the drive-through facility. And then Kimball Plaza, which is the retail plaza just to the south of this development, was approved with the same reduced front setback, 35-foot setback. The applicant provided a citizen participation report indicating that they had received comments at the CZIM meeting regarding traffic impacts, the number of employees, walk-up traffic, and a more neutral building color being preferred. Again, that was the initial site plan that showed the exit closer to State Bridge Road, and it was the previous rendering that I showed you at the beginning of the presentation. And then there were no public comments on the sign-in sheet for the March 11th Community Zoning Information meeting. This item was considered at the April 2nd Planning Commission meeting. There was one public comment from the neighboring property owner in opposition with concerns over the proximity of the drive-through egress to State Bridge Road. After discussion, Planning Commission recommended approval, subject to staff recommended conditions. That vote was 5-2. And then after Planning Commission, the applicant hearing concerns from the Planning Commission as well as from the neighbors, the adjacent property owners, they did revise the site plan to the site plan that you see here. This site plan has a revision date of April 30th, 2026 on it. And so if you prefer, if you were going to approve this applicant's request, and you prefer this particular site plan, you would need to change condition number 1. The date in that condition says dated February 2nd, 2026. That would need to change to revision 4 30/26. And that concludes the report. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer those. We did have two, actually, before I conclude the presentation, there are two conditions here that we would like added to the 15 conditions in the staff report. The first condition is as a result of the concerns about stacking up in the drive-through facilities. I've had some conversations with Councilman Hypes about this. And so the first condition says, if a traffic problem is observed by the city, applicant shall provide a traffic plan to resolve problem, which may include additional employees to manage the drive-through operations as approved by staff. So if we see that there's a problem with maybe the cars stacking up in the drive-through facilities out onto the public right-of-way, or that the drive-through operations are not functioning properly, this gives us the ability to enforce corrections to that. And then the second condition was a condition that was requested to be placed on this application by the adjacent property owners. We provided that language to the applicant. The applicant made a few changes to that language, and the adjacent property owners agreed to those changes. So this is the final condition here. I'll read that. It says, applicant acknowledges that there is a billboard sign located on the property subject to CU-26-03, which is the file number for this case. Applicant agrees that all maintenance of the billboard sign on the property at 11378 State Bridge Road will be accomplished on the approximately 0.697 acres subject to CU-26-03, unless otherwise allowed by an agreement with the affected property owner. No vehicles or equipment used in the maintenance of the billboard sign shall be allowed to locate, park, or otherwise use any adjoining property before, during, or after all maintenance of the billboard sign without the consent of the affected property owner. And again, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Woodman? Councilman Hypes.
Mr. Woodman, I've seen the top-down view and the position of the building with the driveway furthest back. But when we got the packet and here this evening, I'm looking at what appears to be the rear of the building is facing Old Milton Parkway, and the front of the building is facing internal. And my question is, whatever signage they're showing here, is that the signage that is part of this application? Because I'm looking at renderings that show signage on the bigger part of the building that's internal on the eastbound facing side. And this is a coffee shop for westbound traffic on Old Milton Parkway. So it's rear facing, and the signage seems to be counterintuitive to the direction of traffic which this building is meant to serve. So is this their sign package?
This is not the sign package, so they would have to submit for a sign permit. On renderings, we many times will have signage shown on there. You are not approving their signage as part of that unless it's a request for like a sign variance or something specific to that. In no way, the renderings are only intended to show you design and materials. It is not to approve the signage that they're showing.
I have no idea if you swapped the taller portion, and I'm not trying to redesign a building sitting up here on a Monday night, but I was rather surprised to see the block square back of the building facing Old Milton Parkway and the more canopied part furthest away with.
That's a great point.
And it just seems like it's a building that's got its, its service entrance to Old Milton Parkway. And I didn't pick up on that when I was looking at the top-down plat. So do we care? Do we have thoughts?
I mean, certainly, I think that's a great point. I mean, you may want to add something to the condition.
Well,
related.
I want to get your input, and I'm sure Mr. Underwood and that team will, have a chance to respond to this. But we don't have too many rear-facing buildings on our east-west arteries. So.
Understood.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, along those same lines, Michael, a dumpster enclosure typically goes behind the building, and if the behind building is facing the Old Milton Parkway, I don't want to see a dumpster. Well, put that other picture back up. Isn't that what's on the back of that building? Sorry, the next one. What is that on the bottom?
So this is State Bridge here.
No, the building, underneath the sign, what is that? Yes, that.
I'm not sure exactly what I thought this was just doors here, but I would have to have the applicant to
Okay.
respond
Well,
to
if you've
that.
got an aerial of where the dumpster's going, that would help.
The dumpster is actually over here. I wanted to show you it. So this is State Bridge, the private driveway.
I got it. I
The
see it.
dumpster sits back here in the
got it.
corner, so they've moved it as far away from State Bridge Road as possible. And I think you can see that, Councilman Merkel, right here
Yeah.
in this image.
I see a brown box. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mr. Woodman? Councilwoman Reeves?
And did I see in there that there would be a sidewalk along State Bridge and also one connecting to the building?
Yes, so there's guardrail here today, and the sidewalk kind of stops, I think, at this point. So there's a condition that requires them to install sidewalk along their frontage, and that sidewalk is shown here, and it does connect into their building. So you could walk up here, place an order.
Any other questions? Councilman Hydes?
As a follow-up, I'm very interested to hear what the applicant has to say, but if council votes on where the position of the building is and the driveways, can the general design be left to DRB, or are we fixing what this design is going to look like?
Yes, so condition number, I was looking for that as we were speaking earlier. So final approval is with Design Review Board on this. So condition number 6 says that it would be substantially similar to the submitted renderings. If you wanted to clarify in this condition that they rethink the look of that building by adding this this higher portion on this backside that really addresses State Bridge Road, we could add a sentence into that condition. I would recommend that.
Well, subject to the applicant's input, I want to be fair to them. They've come here with a submittal on a Monday night. But if there's something that loosens the language, give our DRB some more latitude, but stay true to what their vision is, I think I would appreciate that. So.
Any other questions for Mr. Woodman? Thank you, sir. Would the applicant like to come forward at this time?
Not yet, sir. Good evening. Ethan Underwood with Underwood Scoggins. Our address is 202 Trimble Gap Road in Cumming, and we are pleased to present this to you. Let's make sure we've got our presentation here. Mr. Woodman always does such a thorough presentation. There's no need for me to do much of an introduction here. So I guess let's just get down to the location. What we would submit to the City Council that this is the correct location for a drive-through facility. And our client is working and has been working with neighbors to try to accommodate what's the best design and layout. Frankly, they're at the disposal of the city. They really would like the city to be happy with the design. And so we made the modifications. If additional modifications or maybe something to go back to realign the building is what the city's looking for, they are open to that. But we will present we currently have this layout. As you can see, the angle of where the drive-throughs would be facing on Old Milton / State Bridge. Now, this is probably the best view that you can see, and it's important because, one, there is a older sidewalk. It is not complete. You've got a guardrail on the right side right next to the right-of-way. That needs to be fixed, but there is room for a sidewalk. Also importantly, you see the topographic change. So there's room there for additional screening and landscaping. So if the building is running from, I guess, for lack of a better term, north-south, then there is room to landscape that view. Now, again, this is we know we have a slight angle, but with the building at that location. As Mr. Woodman stated, that was an accommodation for neighbors. They were concerned that there would be not inadequate stacking along that access drive. And you can see also the necessity of the variance. If the variance is not approved, the 65-foot setback runs through the middle of where even the relocated building would be, has been proposed. And just so that you all have some comfort in approving that variance, you can see at the Kimball Plaza, as stated by Mr. Woodman, that variance was granted, but it would not be out of kilter if you did allow a building to be a little bit closer, because you do have a continuous streetscape of that setback along that area. Now, the stacking concerns, we tried to put a little bit of a visual in here so you could see where the cars are. This was what staff and the applicant's traffic engineers would submit to you is probably worst case scenario. In most situations, the business model is to get folks through there very quickly, and in most situations, you're looking at probably 8 cars in the stacking lane. No problem with the proposed staff condition of saying that if staff observes a backing up issue, then no problem with having staff require additional improvements, or maybe even outdoor employees, like a Chick-fil-A style line. But we did have some comments from city officials saying, well, what about folks? Is it possible that the traffic could back up to the point where people exiting cannot make a left? We think that's highly unlikely. You might have some situations under this configuration where people are coming in and you have to wait to let them pass, get in the queuing lane, and then make the left. But we do not anticipate that the traffic will be backing up that far. Again, queuing analysis, this was based upon the Johns Creek. At that location, the most they had at one time was 16 cars, so that's commensurate again. And then showing that the highest vehicle or highest capacity is anticipated, logically, when you're buying coffee, it's going to be in the AM rush hour. Now, addressing some concerns we did hear from neighbors. Again, Mr. Woodman did a great job of this, but we heard some concern with interparcel access. There are interparcel access easements through this property, but we expect the vast majority of people are going to be going in the drive lane and then coming out the drive lane and going back out to Old Milton. It's frankly more of a pain to navigate through those internal drives than it is just to get back on Old Milton. So we do not anticipate that as a concern, but it was something that was brought up during the community input. Billboard maintenance. Neighbors said, what about the electronic billboard maintenance? The nice thing is it is an electronic billboard, so you don't have somebody who's going to be bringing a vehicle and sitting there for hours and doing the old school putting up paper signs. People do come in. We expect that they would come in, and I guess at hours that are negotiated with our client when they're operating the property, so that it's not blocking those lanes. But we do acknowledge in the condition and here on a hot mic that these folks, by approving this, does not authorize people who are maintaining the billboard to go on someone else's property without permission. Now, I think the questions I heard Councilman Hypes and Merkel asking about what's the view from Old Milton. This is a better view from Old Milton if it's going northwest. You can see to your right. Again, we're not anticipating that this necessarily meets all the city's requirements for the sign package. But you can see here, I can't see my cursor. You can see on the side of the building, it is a side-facing facade which would face Old Milton. There would be signage there. We expect that's where most people who are driving by say, oh, there's where I'm hitting my turn. But this rendering also shows you the opportunity to provide attractive landscaping that will go through DRB and the city's arborists as well. But providing more treetops to provide screening of the building, but allowing enough commercial visibility of the site. Again, this is northbound interior, which frankly won't be as visible or visible at all from Old Milton. But this does give a flavor of the architecture. Now, the question that you had on that Milton-facing facade, that's an electrical panel. That can be screened. We anticipate it's going to be screened by the design review board. If the city council would feel more comfortable if we agreed to a condition tonight that required screening of that, not a problem. But you have a very good DRB. We expect they would catch that. Again, a night view. So We feel that this is an appropriate use. We feel that staff has done a very thorough job reviewing the architecture, reviewing the conditions, and we appreciate the neighbors' input. We feel that this has made a better design. With that, we would reserve any time that we have for rebuttal and questions.
If you can go back, Mr. Underwood, to the rendering, that one. There we go. That'll work.
This one or the next one, sir?
The one that's there, that's good. The second, I'm going to call it the second story above the first floor here. Is that functional, or is that just for appearances?
If I may, I think I'm going to introduce my clients and let them, they're more familiar with the day-to-day operations. I'll let them address that.
Good evening. My name is David Moore. I'm representing Piedmont Beverage Companies, Spartanburg, South Carolina. Our address is 100 Dunbar Street, Suite 304. That second story that you're referencing from this elevation of the rendering specifically, we typically classify that space as our muffin top space. So it's non-functional.
Did you say muffin top?
I did say muffin
I just want to
top.
make sure the record is clear.
You heard
okay.
that. Yes, sir. So, so we typically utilize that space for any additional storage, any dry storage space. So we'll store swag that we get out, whether that's T-shirts, hats, additional cups. But as far as utilizing that space from a service perspective, it's only for storage.
And the reason I asked the question is, can the muffin top be on the other end of the building so it looks like that's the front of the building and still maintain all your drive-through services where they're currently located? I mean, is that just doable? That's my question.
Yes, I would believe it to be feasible. There's nothing functionally that would prevent us from doing so. But we would have to look at it with our architect team and make sure.
I understand. And I'm not trying to make this burdensome. We don't generally approve things that are rear-facing to our streets like this. And, we want you all to be successful and be there for 50 years. And then if it's there for 50 years, it's facing the wrong direction for 50 years. Yeah. So So it's space for storage, but not necessarily to serve coffee from.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Brady?
I might expand on that because Councilman Hypes has a perfect point. If you looked at this design, because we're trying to get an idea of the DRB, if you took that muffin top and the board and batten and all that, and you absolutely did a second one on the front of the building, and that could come down, cover the mechanical all the way around, board and batten, and now you have your nice roof, and you could have a sign on the side that's more representative of it. Because I think the point Councilman Hypes is making is look at what you pulled up in the rendering of the retail building next door. Both sides of that, frontage and parking lot, both have storefront facades to them that was kind of completed. That's the precedent that's set, especially next door. So I almost want the same kind of precedent right there. So the design needs to be absolutely enhanced with, and I know it's a small building, but we don't want to see a back of a cooler with mechanical pieces. I think it needs to be absolutely board and batten that kind of comes out, that you have kind of a wider piece than the cooler, smaller, and then a bigger, wider piece on both sides. So both sides look the same. Is that doable?
Understood, sir.
Okay, I forgot a question was in there, so excuse me.
You found it around eventually. Do we have any other questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Ms. Orhusky, do we have any public comment cards on this item?
No, sir, we do not.
However, if there's anyone that wants to speak in favor of this item, now's your opportunity to do so. Don't see anyone coming forward. Do we have anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Seeing no one, we'll close public comment. Do we have a motion on this item?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, bear with me on this one. I do wish to approve CU-26-03/V-26-04, 7 Brew Coffee at 11378 State Bridge Road, as presented by council, or presented by staff. with a couple of additions. Number one, revising condition number one to read, in lieu of February, we want to see the revision 4/30/26. I also want to add the two conditions that Michael presented this evening, the number one being the traffic problem observation, as well as the number two, which is the billboard restrictions for maintenance. And then the last one, I would like to add a sentence into number 6 that states, quote, "Elevation fronting State Bridge Road shall appear as a front facade and shall have a tower feature that is currently depicted on the opposite elevation with the final approval by DRB."
We have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. I believe the second was Councilman Hypes. Any discussion?
Let's go get some coffee.
All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Congratulations. So next item up on our agenda will be PH-26-05, Unified Development Code Text Amendments, Pickleball Courts. Ms. Eswine, could you please read that ordinance title aloud?
An ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to amend Article 1 and 2 of the Unified Development Code of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to add definitions and regulations pertaining to pickleball courts, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes.
Thank you very much. Director Cook, I believe you've got this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. There's actually no changes from the first reading, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions for Director Cook on this item? Great job. No questions. Ms. Orhusky, do we have any public comment cards?
No, sir, we do not.
However, if anyone would like to come forward, now's your opportunity to do so. Now's your opportunity.
Hello, my name is Matt Christensen. I live at 550 Ebley Place in Alpharetta. I feel like I've gotten to know you all very well. I've been here a lot lately. But I've stood here, several times over the past 3 to 4 months, sharing what my family has been living through over the past couple of years. And while I wish I didn't have to keep coming back here, I'm here again tonight because this new zoning ordinance requiring pickleball courts to be at least 250 feet away from homes, it's not just a policy update. For families like mine, it's the first real sign of hope to maintain a good quality of life. I live extremely close to existing courts, and the impact on our daily life has been constant. It's not about volume on a decibel meter, rather it's the sharp, repetitive, high-frequency sound that cuts through everything, through walls, through closed windows, and through any attempt to enjoy the one place that's supposed to be peaceful, my home. And that's the part I want to emphasize. This is my only home. It's where I'm supposed to rest, recharge, and feel safe. Instead, it's become a place where I brace myself for the next burst of noise. Again, I want to be clear, I'm not against pickleball. I understand why people enjoy it. I play myself, it's fun, and fun is a good thing. Community recreation is a good thing. But fun should never come at the cost of someone else's ability to live comfortably in their own house. Enjoyment for one group shouldn't mean disruption, stress, and sleeplessness for another. That's why the 250-foot setback matters. It's not arbitrary, it's not punitive. Distance is the only proven, reliable way to prevent the noise, the kind of noise intrusion that families like mine have been dealing with. Distance is the only solution that actually works. I've watched what happens when HOAs or private groups try to manage the issue. I've lived through promises that weren't kept and decisions that didn't protect us. That's why updating zoning is essential. The city needs clear, modern rules that reflect the reality of today's recreational trends. Rules that protect residents before conflicts escalate, not afterwards. You have the opportunity tonight to safeguard the peace and well-being of families across Alpharetta, to make sure no one else ends up in the position that I've been in, where I'm fighting for the basic right to enjoy my own property. I'm asking you to support the zoning ordinance, not just for me, but for every family who deserves a home that feels like a refuge, not a battleground of competing noises. Thank you for listening and taking this responsibility seriously. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak on this item?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Simrez Vanpour, and I reside in 12330 Claremont Avenue, Alpharetta. I would like to thank the council, city staff, and residents who participated in this process. While the ordinance won't apply to existing facilities, such as the one near my home, we are 150 feet away from the pickleball courts. I'm pleased to see future residents protected through the 250-foot setback. In fact, while coming here this evening, players were actively playing pickleball, and the noise was clearly noticeable and disruptive. I also appreciate that the city took the time to review the research and every evidence regarding pickleball noise. For nearly 2 years, I shared many of these technical concerns and many of those studies and information within our HOA, which I didn't see any response. While there were differing opinions about the significance of this concern, I'm encouraged that the city carefully evaluated the issue. Thank you for your time, for your efforts to balance recreational opportunities with the quality of life of nearby residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? I don't see anyone coming forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I offer a motion this evening to approve the second reading of PH-26-05, Unified Development Code Text Amendment, Pickleball Courts, as was presented this evening.
Second?
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel, second by Councilman Dorito. Any discussion on this item? Councilman Dorito?
First, I also want to thank the community, particularly the Christensen family. Apologize for what you've had to endure with the decisions by your HOA board where you reside. As I said on the first reading, I hope this action being taken by the city council tonight, if this gets approved, that it demonstrates some leadership on the city government side to what we'd like to expect of our neighbors, to respect our neighbors and the environment, particularly those that live very close to these pickleball facilities. So I hope they heed some of the research that has been discussed throughout this debate and ultimately leading up to this this change in our Unified Development Code this evening that will allow them to reconsider at least putting some sort of requirements around the time of usage of those courts, something to help, do their part to mitigate the impacts on people like the Christensen family. So thank you so much for all the research you provided and everything you provided. You've really shown some real leadership, and I appreciate my colleagues on the council and city, Kathy Cook and Community Development, who has worked really hard on taking a close look at this and to do what we can do within the confines of the law that we're able to do. So thank you very much, everybody.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, quick clarification. Good number of people don't read through this. They see the headlines and then they come up with their own story that goes with it. We are not anti-pickleball by any means. As the folks that came up, the Christians talk about, they like pickleball. But it's a change in the lifestyle what comes with converting tennis courts to pickleball that we really can't do anything about. It's an HOA situation. It was there before we had this vote here tonight. This is on new construction. This is to prevent it going forward from being put right next to, not all HOAs, right? I mean, somebody with a large piece of property could build a large home with a swimming pool and a pickleball court. And if it's bumping right up to somebody, as Matthew said, 250 feet is the only thing you can do is distance. So that's why I was very much in favor of this and pushed real hard along with the other council members to find a resolution that works. And I think we did for tonight. So thank you for your patience.
Councilwoman Reeves?
This wouldn't have happened with getting to this point without an awful lot of people being involved. And you all were involved and spoke up. And people don't realize how empowering that it is that you can come forward in your local government and speak up. And I want to thank the police department, who our local officers went out and worked with the community, and staff who did all of that research and read everything that everyone gave you, and obviously the council. This is government working the way it's supposed to. I wish it had worked a little bit earlier for you all. And on a little bit of a lighter note, I read this weekend that somebody really famous was talking about pickleball noise. John McEnroe was in the paper talking about how annoying pickleball noise is. And we all know his tolerance for irritating is pretty low. However, I thought that was pretty amusing, and I'm proud of everything that everybody's done.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion as made by Mayor Pro Tem, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So next item is PH-26-07, Unified Development Code text amendments for short-term rentals. Ms. Eswine, could you please read the ordinance title aloud?
An ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to amend Article 2 and Appendix A, Alpharetta Downtown Code of the Unified Development Code of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, and Article 15 of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to add clarification regarding the use of a single-family dwelling unit and accessory dwelling unit as a short-term rental, to assign short-term rentals as permitted and conditional uses in certain zoning districts, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes.
Thank you, Ms. Eswine. Director Cook?
Mayor and council, this is the second reading, and there have been no changes since the first reading, but I can certainly answer any questions you may have.
Does anyone on council have questions regarding this item? Thank you, Director Cook. Ms. Zora Husky, do we have any public comment cards in this item?
No, sir, we do not.
However, anyone wants to come forward and speak on this item, now's your opportunity. I see no one rushing forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I would move to approve PH-26-07, Unified Development Code text amendment, short-term rentals, second reading. No changes.
Have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Markle, a second by Councilman Brady. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And it is unanimous. So the next item will be the fiscal year 2027 budget and millage rate levy. Director Tom Harris, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the first of 3 public hearings on the budget, 2027 budget. The intent right now, or for this item on the public hearing, is to make sure we follow state law. There's no vote at this time. In a few minutes, I'll be right back up regarding the ordinance for the budget and the millage rates, but it's a chance to hear from the public on the budget.
Do we have any questions for Tom? Right. Do we have any public comment cards on this item?
No, sir, we do not.
However, if anyone wants to come forward and speak on this item, now's your opportunity to do so. I don't see any public coming forward, so we'll close public comment. There will be no vote on this item this evening, correct? Right. So we'll go on to the first public hearing. So we're going on to the first public hearing.
We sort of did it.
Yeah, if you're done with the public hearing, we'll move on to
Oh,
business.
okay.
Yeah, new business.
Nobody wants to talk about it. No comments.
So,
Gotcha. So now we'll move on to the fiscal year 2027 millage rate ordinance. Ms. Eswine, could you please read the ordinance title aloud?
An ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to fix the ad valorem tax rate of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027, and for other purposes.
Director Harris, once again.
good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the first reading of the ordinance adopting the millage rates for fiscal year 2027, specifically 5.05 mils for operations and 0.70 mils for debt service, for a total of 5.75 mils, which is the same as the current millage rate we currently levy this year. That's all I have on the millage.
Do we have any questions for Director Harris? Councilman Hypes?
Director Harris, when was the last time the millage rate was higher than 5.7? How many years? Since 2000?
12, 10?
That's actually my question for you.
Oh, was that a question? Thought we were going to debate. It's quite a long time.
Maybe 2010, 16
Yes.
years maybe?
Yep,
No increase? Okay.
that's correct.
Councilwoman Reeves?
I really like seeing the 0.02 of the mill going away from debt and onto the operations. I thought that was a good thing to see. And the millage rate isn't going up, but this is my first year doing this with the city, so this is interesting, it's different. And I want to just make two observations that I've noticed. And one is, we have an amazing staff, just amazing. Every department chair that I've had the privilege to work with, and Tom, you especially, you've been generous with your time, explaining things to me. And so that's one thing I want to pass on. And the second thing is, when you're running, you hear all these people say, gosh, Alpharetta must be just loaded with money. And I will say that we must dispel that notion that we're swimming in money here in Alpharetta. I think that the staff and the process that you've gone through and the council has led everybody through for the last few years it's a rigorous process. And I feel like the staff is very diligent in watching their pennies, but there's not a lot left over. And I just wanted to make that observation. We're not rolling the millage back, but there's some really good things that have been happening, and I just wanted to make that observation. Thank you for indulging me.
That's what you're here for. Do we have any other questions or comments? Thanks, sir. We've already asked for public comment, right?
You asked for it in the context of the public hearing, but since this is a separate item, I'd call for it again.
Pardon? I had two people talk to me at once.
Sorry. You called for it for the public hearing, but since this is technically a separate item, I would recommend calling for it again.
Call for public comment. So once again, you have an opportunity to give a public comment. I don't see anyone coming forward, not hiding behind Tom, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2027 millage rate ordinance, first reading.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Brady, who I will also give credit to working with Tom to get this done. And Councilwoman Reeves was second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Next item is invitation to bid, 26-011, street sweeping.
No.
No?
Yep, we have to do the budget ordinance next.
Okay. Ms. Eswine, could you read this ordinance, please?
An ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, adopting the final estimates of revenue and expenditures for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2026, and ending on June 30th, 2027, as its annual budget, appropriating the use of funds as shown therein as may be needed or deemed necessary to defray all expenditures and liabilities of the city for such fiscal year, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you. Do we have any questions regarding this item? Councilwoman Reeves?
For, our budget is around 70% salary oriented, correct?
Correct, 60, personal services,
Yeah, and then,
about 67%. Yeah.
and this year, we're looking at a 3% raise, but it's going to be given merit, based on merit.
Correct.
So it's 3% of the salary base, but it'll be depending on, and I thought that Chris Randall did a great job explaining the process of that to me. That was really good. But then there's also a market adjustment again this year, right?
Correct. There's a market adjustment based on actions that were taken on by cities around us, surrounding cities, and what they did with their personnel the past year. And based on that market study done by the HR department, we were slightly behind in certain areas of fire and as well as general employees. But we were right on target with police and E911.
And as a percentage, how much is that?
It depends on who you were getting. It's a 2% for general employees, and then firefighters and fire apparatus engineers had a certain number too. All in, it was about 600,000. So if you took that as a percent of our total personal services or total salaries, that's about another percent in total, but it's more targeted to the issues.
Right. So we have essentially two buckets, and from just moving forward perspective, I've noticed in the last few years there's been market adjustments a good number of the years, and I would just say that in my experience, maybe we could look at not doing market adjustments quite so often, because it just looks like part of a raise if we do it that way. So just moving forward, I'd like to think about that. But I did have the opportunity to go through and see which positions were being adjusted, and I appreciated the opportunity to do that. So it is possible for somebody to get anywhere from a 3 to a 6% raise in that ballpark, correct?
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially. Okay, thank you.
So if I could, I'll explain how we ended up in this current plan. And as you stated a few minutes ago, the reason Alpharetta is in as great shape as we are is because we have great employees. And several years ago, it was really difficult to manage how our compensation and benefits compared to other organizations that are direct competitors for labor supply, locally and within the region. And so going back to Chris Randall, our Human Resources Director, she actually put together a platform and found software that will help us make sure, and our council has, over the past few years, set a goal of making sure that our employees are in the top 20% of their competitive labor market. Because we felt like if we're going to maintain the quality of our staff and the services we provide, we need to be competitive in those roles. And that's nothing that we can't change, but it was a very thoughtful process, and I give tremendous credit to Ms. Randall, because to be able to find software that could do that for us, I mean, 6, 7 years ago, they used to have to go and try to pull information requests to see how much a firefighter in Johns Creek was getting or how much a police officer in Sandy Springs, but we're very intentional about it. So we can always have discussions of how we want to change that. But it served us pretty well. That doesn't mean we can't do better. Just wanted to share that as well.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So Councilman Brady.
I'll jump in and say some comments. Just, I know I'll find a question in here sooner or later, but I did want to kind of make some points that, and especially when we're talking about the budget that we're kind of getting to, and really in reaction a little bit to comments you're kind of saying, because I hear it too. You know, City of Alpharetta, you guys are booming. You got a lot of stuff. Must be, you know, bringing in the tax dollars. So with that, I'm going to ask a question. Is Tom, when you look at the commercial sector, do you see any growth in the tax digest this year or last year or the year before? Do you see that particular part declining? It's more for the record.
Yes, it's been flat, zero, or declining. I think it lag a little bit of the market too, as tends to be how the assessor's office. So we are hoping that maybe next year in the 28 year, we'll be able to see some positive number on that side. But what we projected here is about a minus 2% of that valuation.
And when you kind of look at that from an overall revenue, like tax digest and receipts, what kind of percentage of the overall revenue would that count for?
It's 45% of the property taxes that we generate. So 45% of that is seeing no growth.
So when we talk about these things, but at the same time, there's a lot of infrastructure, and we've seen it at Wills Park. We've seen, you know, the enhancements that I've done there. We look back at the pool and all the bonds, all those dollars that we talk about infrastructure. Alpharetta is investing a lot of money back into infrastructure, also from an operations kind of perspective. And it's difficult every year to go through and say, you know, how do we tighten up the belt a little bit to do that and maintain the highest quality rating in the state of Georgia at the same time. And I just wanted to say, you know, thank you for this last year going through that, because I think it's rarely happened where we're out of budget, where we had a department come up in this last year and talk about, I'm over budget or wasn't included in the budget. There was only like 2 items that I know of all year that actually was not accounted for in our budget kind of going forward. So thank you for your attention to kind of going forward and planning all those things. But it is a lot to get there, and we'll continue to tighten it up, but it's with 45% of your top line revenue not coming in and staying stagnant, it has an effect. So just to appreciate all the work you're doing on that, and we'll continue to kind of do that and tighten it up even more to generate dollars into other capital things that the infrastructure needs.
And I got to respond to hats off to the department directors with that as well. We're coming towards the end of the year. We don't, there's not a run to go spend the dollars this year. You know, at the end of the year, as you hear about that government does a lot, that's just not a process that works with our department heads. Don't follow that approach, so.
Councilwoman Reeves.
As we look forward, like, to next year, because, you know, Councilman Brady brought it up, and I think you did too, we were waiting for Fulton County to catch up with some of the sales. And I don't know if there's a way that we could have some kind of a trigger that, you know, a really big parcel goes, or a large property changes hands that's been in the same hands for 20, 30 years, and you know, you don't have a $500,000 property. You have or worse, it's the commercial property that sells. And the commercial property sells, and it is making a comeback. We do see cars in the parking lots. So the market is changing. Look at the data scan sales. So I think that's changing a lot, and I would be really interested in how we could, you know, get Fulton County to come. I know, I've been working with them a long time. If we could get their assistance on being a little more current with the digest.
Would you like to handle that? I wonder if
go right ahead.
Your point is well taken, and I know you have experience with this from the school board. But at one point, about 6 or 7 years ago, I tried to find a way we could hire a private sector company to give us valuations, but the state constitution just doesn't allow it. The tax assessor's office, not even Fulton County, controls it. The tax assessor just does their own thing, and it's come to bite us numerous times over the last decade or so. But
we can certainly try to, if we see big parcels of sales, reach out for what that's worth to them. But can't make any promises. Yeah.
The sales price will be public.
Yeah.
but the tax assessor still has to assess it that way. Any other discussion? Questions? Any other questions? No, we haven't. Okay. We have no public comment to come forward, right? Seeing none? Pardon?
We do not have any comment cards.
Okay. I don't see any public comment coming in, so I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2027 budget ordinance, first reading as presented by staff.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Brady, a second by Councilman Dorito to approve. Any discussion? Councilman Hines.
Thank you, Mayor. I consider my role sitting up here on council, the most important thing I get to do in any year is to vote on passing a budget. It's our collective priorities about what we find to be most important for a city and how to address a very fluid situation, which I think our staff and our directors handle magnificently. When I look at our budget, I see what was our greatest strength prior to COVID being, at best, just being a push. And Councilman Brady brought it up. We were blessed with 60-40 in favor of commercial property tax revenues, which when I read the reports now, it's 51-49. And that's not because of any increase in the residential, because it's capped. It's mostly because of a decline in the commercial property tax base, which I've always been bullish on, and I want Alpharetta to hear my opinion on this, and I think office is going to come back, and if it comes back anywhere in the North Metro area, it's going to come here. It is our strength. Our strength is in our commercial tax base, our 20.1 million square feet of office, being an employment center, and then having that pay for all the great things we have. That is our calling card. Our other calling card is we are a community of quality. We're not a community of quantity. We're not a community of filling, just checking a box. We have always sought out, and even from the applicants and private money that comes forward, we have demanded quality, and our budget needs to keep that in mind. And why this is an important budget as we're working our way through a post-COVID hangover is COVID for everyone, all cities, gave us hyperinflation. And so we've got a steady, if not flat, revenues income from our sources, property taxes and elsewhere. But when Pete comes up here and says he wants to do a mile of road, it's twice what it used to be probably when I started council. When he wants to do 1,000 feet of storm water, it's twice what it used to be. And I don't know if that's a fact, but it feels that way. Everything that we're doing, when we want to do the parks bond and we pass the parks bond and it comes time to execute, we get less for the dollars because of the inflation. And these are things that are outside of our control and all communities are dealing with. But I do want to say I think our community is dealing with it better than just about any community around us. Now, the issue is we fund our capital coming out of our operating. And when I look at this budget and I look at trends with the post-COVID hangover in our budget, what I see is fewer available dollars for capital. And as I learned, and I want to give attribution here, I learned from the mayor early on when I joined council, for every new mile of road you build, you got to maintain it. For every new, 1,000 yards of Alpha Loop, now you got to go maintain it. For every investment in your city that's brand new, now you got to go maintain it. So we're continually spending more dollars on quality of life, which is why people move here and pay to move here, to live here. And our capital dollars are declining to some degree, in part, just because of hyperinflation and pressures within the budget. And I think the challenge for us going forward with this budget and budgets in the foreseeable future is being on guard for something that is unforeseen, and we have to respond to it. A couple years ago, we had a bridge go out on Mayfield Road. Well, we got to have a bridge on Mayfield Road, so there wasn't a question about if we're going to fix it. We're going to go fix it, and we're going to fix it fast, and we're going to throw people and dollars at it. The jail is an unforeseen circumstance. That is Fulton County's responsibility, the sheriff's office, to provide a jail. They're not providing a jail. They are not accepting misdemeanor crimes, and that is their job. And it's very troubling. So that's unforeseen, but we're dealing with it. So I want to commend, what our staff has done, what Director Harris and our city administrator and our leadership up here on this panel have done. This is the biggest thing we do in any one year. And we've got challenges, but we've got opportunities. And I think that we will continue keeping this millage rate the same and providing the highest quality of life in the economic business center of North Atlanta, with this budget and going forward. But I do believe we've got to keep our eye on the ball and be focused.
Any other discussion? Councilman Dorito.
I just want to add to Councilman Hype's comments because I agree with everything he just said. But with respect to the biggest part of our budget, which is our employee salaries and benefits, I did go through the compensation market evaluation reports, Tom, that you provided to me. And I know Chris is out right now, so can't be here tonight. But I have no problem with the percentage that the department directors came up with together, I'm assuming, or the market adjustments. But I do want to just tell you my own feelings. Going through this budget, since it's the biggest part of our budget, it's hard for me to understand the basis or the business case for the 3% or for the market adjustments. And what I mean by that is maybe it should be more than 3%. I'm not saying it's too much. It's not. I don't know. So I sit here as a person that's approving a budget on behalf of our residents who's paying the bills, and I really feel uncomfortable that I don't have a handle on the biggest part of our budget. What I mean by that is if you go through the 10-year trends of the city, our compensation adjustments every year were 4 to 3%, 3% on average, right? Then we had, because of the pandemic, had those big market adjustments. And it seems like since the pandemic, the market adjustments is almost becoming commonplace, which is fine. I completely, the department directors advise us with the right business case that has to be done. I'm sure this council will support that, right? Assuming we have the wherewithal and the funding to do that. When I look at the market adjustments and the reports that you provided to me, it really is based on salary. I don't see any data or information about comparisons of benefits packages compared to Alpharetta, if there's any differentiations there. And if we want to just stay ahead and keep throwing money at people to keep them here, my personal opinion is I don't know if I want employees like that. There's better reasons of being Alpharetta than just compensation. I know that's important. And if the business case is there to support that, I'm all in favor of it. What I'm saying is I don't have the business case, both for the 3% and for the market adjustments. And I hope we change some process next year that we have a better visual into that, is what I'm suggesting. And the reason why I'm saying this tonight is, as kind of Councilman Hipes was alluding to, some things that are coming at us, or have come at us. You know, even our capital contribution, I think, went from how much a year down to, I think it's going to be less than $1 million this year, right? 600,000, something like that. Used to be 4.5 million, right?
Got it up towards 4.
So what that's telling me, when I look back at the 10-year trends of the city and the finances, both the operating capital budgets, because I did go through them, I'm starting to get a little bit concerned that we need to plan better for the future. For example, I think we need to know salary structures for the next 3 to 5 years. And maybe this becomes, Mayor, part of the strategic plan that we're working on right now, where we change the process. As the mayor pointed out, we're doing great things today, but there's always room for improvement, right? And changes, because the city keeps growing, and the needs keep growing, and the costs keep growing. The tax base maybe not growing as fast as our operating expenses are growing. And so I want to make sure, as much as we all say we love the employees, and we do, we also need to protect their jobs for the future and make sure that we're not basically, ultimately driving the city into a path where we either have to increase the millage rate or cut costs, or a combination of both. And so when I look at the 10-year budget trends of the city, most of our growth has helped manage the growth in operating expenses and all that good stuff. And we've done a great job. The mayor, everyone, previous councils, the city staff. So I'm not criticizing what's in the budget for raises and stuff, but I think we need to start focusing a little bit more carefully, especially when we're comparing to other cities around us. If we're going to compare, let's get real data, not just salary data. Let's get data on other benefit packages in comparison to the city. Where are we equal? Where are we doing better? Like, I don't know how many cities have the retirement health care benefit. I don't know if, how many cities, I don't know what their PTO policy is. I don't know. And that's what I would like to see in these reports, is a complete picture, so that I can make a decision on behalf of spending our taxpayers' money and encumbering that money to basically say, we have the money, this makes sense, we want to stay competitive. As the mayor said, number 1 or 2 in our area, we all want to be, we're a thriving city. But I want to make sure that we have the proper funding for other things that come down the pike as well. We may see some significant growth in the city in the next 5 years. And so we have to prepare for that as well. Increase in employee staff, in police and increase in services. And so as that's happening, costs go up. I know just in the Public Works Department, I think the average, because of oil prices are through the ceiling right now. I mean, macadam today, biggest part of macadam is oil. And so those prices are skyrocketing now to pave a street than it was, 10 years ago. So it's all a fine balancing act, and priorities we have to set, and hopefully through the strategic planning process, we spend a lot of time on focusing on the budget process, because I think as a growing city, we need to grow and change the way we manage the budget to make sure that we're looking not only on the current fiscal year coming upon us, but at least 2 or 3 years out, to make sure that we're paving a path to sustain the employment base that we have, increase the employment base, and be able to afford to keep the service levels at the level that we all have appreciated for quite a number of years in the city of Alpharetta. I'll get off my soapbox.
Tom, if you don't mind, would you make sure to get with Ms. Randall when she's available, so y'all can provide all of that data that?
Sure.
Councilman's
We know the
asking?
benefits pretty.
Like I said,
yeah,
I
for the
know
most
she
part,
has
yeah.
the data,
Yeah.
so just make sure he has an opportunity to share it with Councilman Dorito, please. You're welcome. Any other discussion? All right. We've got the motion. Well, thank you for getting me back on track. I I need some help every once in a while when we stray from the path I have in front of me. All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So now we'll move on to that all-important invitation to bid, 26-011, street sweeping. Director Sisevich, let's talk about cleaning streets.
Trying to take care of them now, Mayor and Council. 49 is our annual street sweeping contract. It's a one-year contract with 4-year renewal years. That is basically if things aren't working out in year 1 or year 2, that we're able to go back out to bid and get somebody more qualified who will do the work for us. We received 3 bids. Watt Commercial Sweeping was the lowest price at $52,708.14. If you read the packet, there's called 2 large pickups and 2 regular pickups. The large pickups are after our winter storm events, meaning that's based on tonnage.
Right.
So we do not do any sweeping inside residential subdivisions.
Thanks, sir. Do we have any questions for Director Sisevich? Must have done a great job. Nobody had any questions.
Staff did a great job.
Do we have any public comment?
No, sir, we do not.
However, anyone wants to come forward and speak on this item, now is your chance to do so. I don't see anyone from the public coming forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mayor. Like to recommend that we award ITB 26-011 to Walt Commercial Sweeping, Inc. for parking, garage, and street sweeping services in the amount not to exceed $52,708.14, and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Reeves. Do we have a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. Any discussion? All those in favor of the item to approve, please vote yes. Councilman Driscoll, there we go. It's unanimous. So we'll move on. Thanks, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, just me have a meet in the middle if you can. As long as we get one to Doug, we're good. And I'll take the rest. Thank you. You want one? Oh, you gotta have one to present, or you don't have that memorized?
There you go.
All right, so the next item up, T-Splosh 3 project list. Director Sisevich, you have the floor.
Yes, Mayor and Council, today is the deadline for the T-Splosh list. In fact, Fulton County was very generous and gave us till tomorrow to submit the list based off how our council meetings work. It was supposed to be done at the end of May. They're giving us a couple extra days. So this is the list in front of you. It is a revised list. Last week I was out of the office, but staff went along. They saw the previous presentations. They walked the Mayfield corridor. They walked a lot more of the other corridors as well. We actually reached out to Fulton County on the Mayfield corridor. There are 3 water vaults that need to be relocated. Water vaults, large, 2 in front of the school and 1 in front of the Arts Center. They are unable to give us a approximate cost to relocate those water vaults right now because we do not have a design. We do not know if we need to move the vault back 5 feet, 10 feet, move it over 15 feet. All those play in line. It could be $25,000 per vault or $250,000 per vault. It is completely unknown. So we took that, and with the guidance of the mayor and Chris, we revised the list real quick. Turns out that the Kimmel Bridge Road sidewalk corridor sidewalk project was a $5 million project. So we just removed Mayfield, put in the Kimmel Bridge corridor. So that's the first one you see in Tier 1. That's highlighted on the list. And then since we moved Kimmel Bridge sidewalk from Tier 2 to Tier 1, we had to then figure out what we're going to do for Tier 2. There's no guarantee you receive money for Tier 2. There's also no guarantee that even if we receive the funds for Tier 2, that we have dollars available because maybe some of the projects went over budget. For those new council members, T-Splosh 2, the cost of right-of-way through the roof than what we anticipated. So the majority of what we didn't get to Tier 2 and Tier 3 projects because right-of-way was so expensive. So what we did do is we allocated the $5 million to go towards various Alpha Loop crossings and additions. There is a crossing. We have a project coming before Mayor and Council in a couple of weeks to award some design work. This is part of those projects right there that you see on your overhead. So we're crossing Haynesbridge Road, extending Northwinds a little bit more, extending sidewalk at Haynesbridge if we can, and just getting more connectivity across Haynesbridge Road safer. So that's where that dollar amount for Tier 2 projects would go towards. So for the key things is Tier 1 for us. That is our key list of projects that we'll be focusing on if T-Splosh 3 passes.
Councilman Heights?
Thank you, Pete. I haven't had a chance to go through the Kimball Road addition here. I see sidewalks on the north side, and it's based on road being widened. Will it be widened to the same extent so that it's the same throughout the whole Kimball Bridge corridor?
Similar. It is a tight squeeze through there, so sections of the Kimball Bridge corridor has medians. We probably will not have a landscape median in the, along the corridor. Maybe have a small concrete median, like a 2 feet wide, 1 foot wide strip. But we're going to design it first for the widening, and then just construct the sidewalk. Acquire the right of way for the sidewalk as well.
So between North Winds and 400, that was widened to how many lanes?
Between everything east of Northwinds has been taken care of.
Yeah, and how many lanes is that?
Northwinds to
And I can look.
Northwinds to North Point is 4 lanes. North Point to Waters is 3. 2 in one direction, 1 in the other.
Okay. And on this T-Splosh proposal, going back the opposite direction, going west toward west side, would the number of lanes match up?
It'd be 4 lanes is the proposed.
Because that is our one bottleneck on the east-west, is that stretch right there.
That's where, that's the choke point.
Correct. And one last question about this project, since I hadn't had a chance to talk with you about it. How can that fit in with the Kimball Bridge being replaced?
The Kimball Bridge has already been replaced.
It's already, that one's been replaced, so we're looking at Webb Bridges next.
Correct.
Gotcha. I
No worries.
got my 400 overpasses mixed up. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Pete. Ms. Orhusky, do we have any public comment card?
Yes, we do. If Ashlyn Hutton would please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Ashlyn Hutton. My address is 1075 Peachtree Street Northeast, number 1500 in Atlanta, Georgia. But I am actually an attorney here on behalf of Ms. Kristen Colby, who owns the historic Upshaw House located at 212 Canton Street and 146 Mayfield Road. I'm here specifically to oppose the inclusion of the Mayfield Road project as a Tier 1 project in T-Splosh 3, as it's currently stated. We're not opposed to the project in theory. The main opposition here comes from the fact that we found out on May 21st from Pete that no traffic study has actually been done regarding the need of that project. Additionally, we have significant concerns regarding the safety and historic preservation in the area. And so together, those 3 concerns, the lack of a traffic study, the potential safety concerns with left turns if that road is widened, and the historical preservation, we think that it should be devoted to Tier 2 or Tier 3, at least until a traffic study is done that supports the need for that project. My understanding is that the only thing that has been done are visual monitorings of traffic in the area. That's not enough to design a project. It sounds like it's no longer on there. However, it was in the public packet that's published on the city website that I checked this evening. So to the extent that there's a change, I'll yield my time, and potentially you don't even have to hear from me anymore.
Pete, would you like to explain what you had just discussed a little earlier?
So when we developed the illustration for our T-Splosh projects, it was more of just using our aerials and going through it all. We received requests to go look at some things a little more closely, have crews walk, engineers walk the corridor, as well as reach out to Fulton County, and that was the key. Fulton County responded and informed us, listen, I can't give you a number. I don't want to give you a number of 25 grand, or I don't want to give you a grant of $250,000 and have it be opposite in each direction. So we just decided it was best to try to look at different alternatives and pursue projects and move forward differently, in a different direction.
So in English, that means that you went back, reassessed the resources available and how little information we had, so we just took it off the list?
Took it off the list.
Okay.
And
I just wanted to
focus
say
on
it in
something, yeah.
English so people could understand,
yes.
because clearly there was some confusion.
Gotcha. Sorry about that.
That's it. Any other questions, discussion? Councilwoman Reese?
I just wanted to thank Pete and all of his staff. I had a community meeting with T-Splosh as the only, topic, and that I am aware of. He has spoken to dozens and dozens of homeowners and heard lots of feedback about the T-Splosh list, and I know all of you have. So super responsive, really. Thanks a lot.
Good. So do we have a motion from council?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to approve the City of Alpharetta's T-Splosh 3 project list. An IGA from Fulton County will need to be executed in July 2026.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Reeves, a second by Councilman Dorito. Any discussion? All those in favor, please vote yes. And it passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Pete. Next, we'll move on to the work session items. PH-26-04 UDC amendments, business and recreational vehicles. Mr. Schroeder, you have the floor all to yourself right now.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we're here just as workshop to look over a few proposed changes to the UDC parking criteria areas. We've had some concerns over recent past, and we had a variance hearing here a while back, and some questions came from that. And my staff has had numerous conversations with the city attorney's office about multiple word changes that need to be done to help enforce the code a little easier. So we got a couple new definitions.
Right, before you get started, I tried to go to a presentation for you, but all we saw was a silly Ohio State logo. So I'm wondering if...
well, hey, I mean...
Is there a presentation?
There is. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Okay, it's not making its way to the screen.
Okay, well, we don't want to look at that.
I mean, as long as we keep it blurred out like that, it's okay. But
hey,
before you get too into your presentation, I just wanted to make sure we could get the slides up.
Do you want to try it? Yeah, apparently. I'm looking at it, so I don't know. It just wants to display that.
Well, that's better.
Well, do you want, there you go.
Adam's got it. It just really wanted to display that logo. Sorry. Okay. So we got a couple new definitions that we didn't have in the past that I asked for to make it a little easier for explaining to the public when we talk about some of the code sections. So we've got a business vehicle and a recreational vehicle. Got some general updates. We did add, there was a procedure in for the director to potentially give variances to certain sections. We changed that with some further requirements to city council to give variances for recreational vehicles. We've got some changes that came up in previous cases about residential parking, commercial vehicles, and we call them daily drivers, the Pete's Plumbing truck, or if you don't own the business, you get to drive it home as a courtesy, or get called out on evening vehicles or evening emergencies or something like that. We don't want to restrict that ability as well. And then we've got, in the variance, we called out 4 what we felt were good conditions for council to consider. Even before the variance would come to council, the applicant would need to meet these 4 conditions, and it's affidavits from contiguous neighbors that they're in approval of the recreational vehicle being stored there. The vehicle would be stored behind the front and side setbacks, be the vehicle only. If we bring forward one, and no accessory items with the vehicle, think of a boat with inner tubes and all this other things you might be, so the boat would be considered for that, and then it must be paved on a paved surface, as we have in other areas of the code. And we left in, which I felt was a pretty important thing, the prohibited use of dismantled vehicles and things like that. So I can take some questions if you've got. I think you have the redlined ordinance in your packet.
Does anyone on council have any questions for Mr. Schroeder? Councilwoman Reeves.
We still have some AG residential property here in the city. I live on one. Those larger lots have historically had a number of vehicles parked on them. And I would like my neighbors to still talk to me. I think it would be a really nice thing. We don't get a block party every week, but I would like not to be on their bad list. And I know this is just a work session item. I would like to discuss this with y'all further. I don't know how much AG residential that there is, but I think it falls into a different category. I know that some of the properties on my street certainly fall into that different category. And just wanted to let everybody know that just seems an exception. I don't know if it applies, and I certainly don't know enough to make any recommendations, but I just wanted to let everybody know that I have a concern about it.
Fair enough. So I would ask that Mr. Schroeder, Director Cook, Mr. Lagerbloom, sit down and figure out what we need to address. Since
Yeah, I
it's a
think we
work
can-
session, not voting on it anyway, so.
Yeah, I think we can definitely look at that.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? All right. So we'll move on. Let's see. Public comment. I don't think we have any public here anymore. So we'll close public comment. Do we have any reports?
Unless Karen wants to say something. Karen might want to say something.
Karen, do you want to say something?
You sure?
It's on the record now. Do we have any reports? Well, I would just like to say that I am very grateful to our staff and the Alpharetta Rotary Club for a wonderful Memorial Day service last week. It was very impressive, a very powerful speaker, and a great reminder of the sacrifices that allow us to live the lives we live and have a city like the one we have. Any other reports? Well, I don't believe we have an executive session this evening. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilman Brady. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning, please vote yes. And it passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.